I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive. Coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagree, but now this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but doesn't think you could win. What do you say?
This wasn't the kind of lighthearted ribbing you might give a politician for a laugh on camera. Bill Maher went all in without hesitation. For years, Maher had teased Gavin Newsom, painting him as the Democratic golden boy of the moment. But that era of playful admiration is officially over. In a recent episode, Maher went straight for the jugular, dissecting Newsom's record and spotlighting California's leadership failures in real time. This wasn't gentle teasing, it was full-on commentary. If sharp, unfiltered political critique is your style, you already know the drill. And yes, Maher did reduce Newsom's legacy to his
Gavin Newsom is the governor of California, home to 12% of all Americans and 50% of all Mexicans. On the upside, Newsom is the only governor, with the possible exception of Kristi Noem, who looks like they could do porn.
looks, joking that he seems like he belongs in an adult film. When praise quickly turns into ridicule, it signals a deeper critique. Imagine leading the nation's most powerful state, only to have your biggest accomplishment boiled down to hair gel and cheekbones. Maher didn't spare any of Newsom's supposedly impressive feats. Every achievement became fodder for humor. When a former admirer critiques you so relentlessly, it's more than embarrassing. It puts your political brand on life support. Let's cut to the truth. California's homeless...
A boatload of almonds.
I'm well aware.
You know what? You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Come on, man. Take on big almonds.
Take on big almonds.
I mean, it's not like we don't have the water.
You're right about it. It's not that we don't have the water. That said, you know, the last couple of years were tough. I mean, it's also where the water's falling and we're not capturing it. But we're not capturing those extreme years with these atmospheric rivers. The wets are getting a lot wetter, dry's drier, hot's getting a lot hotter. And so we've got to modernize our conveyance system. We've got to modernize our storage, not just above ground, but below ground. And so that's a big part of our focus and frame, including desalinization plants. We have 20 projects just on desal that we're working on today. So we put out a detailed water strategy that includes, by the way, getting that Delta Conveyance project back up and operational. It includes the first above ground off stream storage facility in half a century in the state, which, by the way, is being aided by a regulatory package I pushed forward to reduce red tape in the state of California.
This crisis under Newsom isn't just growing, it's exploding. Laws make it easy for people to occupy public spaces. Enforcement is weak and the message is clear. Come on in. This isn't compassion, it's dysfunction dressed up as virtue signaling. Homelessness hasn't merely risen, it has skyrocketed.
I don't want to say he really wants to be the guy who steps in if the current nominee goes down, but he gets an alert on his phone every time Biden can't think of a word. The downside is that governor of California is kind of like being conservative for Britney Spears. They'll attack him on California's homeless problem, but there's a response to that. The homeless can live anywhere, but they choose California.
Legislation encourages inaction instead of solutions, turning sidewalks into permanent encampments and entire neighborhoods into makeshift shelters. Combine that with a legal system that treats offenders with leniency and sidelines victims, and you get the result. Lower living standards, higher crime rates, and leadership that refuses to own its failures. That is Newsom's record in a nutshell. Bill Maher finally voices what many Californians have been quietly saying. Gavin Newsom favors style over substance. Smooth delivery, polished smiles, endless words, but little action. He has mastered the art of talking without solving anything. Long speeches, impressive phrasing, yet no tangible results. Charisma doesn't clean streets.
The knock on Gavin has always been that he's slick. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that. I notice slick is something no one has been accusing Biden of lately. Do you want good at talking or don't you? Newsom is the best communicator in the party with a history of standing up to bullies, and his name lends itself to the best slogan since I Like Ike. I'm having Gavin.
Lower rent, or reduce crime. He dodges tough questions as if it were a sport, hiding behind prepared lines and practiced rhetoric. That's not leadership, that's theater. And when even someone as sharp as Maher stops applauding, it's clear. It's time to stop pretending the emperor has clothes. Let's be real. Gavin Newsom's presidential ambitions are quickly.
Good job this year making it rain.
You're welcome.
It
was my legislative priority.
It was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then whenever I read 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds. No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds.
Here's crumbling, and it has nothing to do with charm or rhetoric. His record in California is toxic. Businesses are leaving, jobs are disappearing, and residents are moving out at record rates. What was once seen as a hub of innovation has become a cautionary tale. Skyrocketing taxes, unaffordable housing, and a shrinking middle class have pushed people to their breaking point. The real danger? Even Democrats are starting to murmur doubts. When your own base questions your judgment, national aspirations become nearly impossible. And then there's the legislation. California has become a laboratory for every identity-focused experiment imaginable, and Maher doesn't let it slide. He highlights absurd examples that leave voters shaking.
KBLA the other day, yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, "Who do you want to run for president?" I mentioned, "I think you'd be good at the job." Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but doesn't think you could.
Shaking their heads. Take this one. Department stores with more than 500 employees are now required to have gender-neutral toy sections, as if kids can no longer play without ideology attached. Policies like this erode confidence, provoke ridicule, and make ordinary voters question a candidate's suitability for higher office. Maher's point is clear. When governance drifts into spectacle, ambition alone won't save a political.
I feel like the last couple of years you've purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War.
I agree with that.
You know what? Well, but you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, this is a blue state and that's a red state. And I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states. I completely agree. I don't want to have a state of mind that's a constant fight or flight. We've gone through so much. We've been polarized and traumatized. It's been a tough 5-6 years across the globe, not just in this country. That said, I'm not going to sit back and watch. And you made the point just a moment ago in your monologue. You got folks out there trying to bring us back to a pre-1960s world. America in reverse. Rolling back voting rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, not just access to abortion, but
political career. Newsom relies on a familiar tactic. Looking attentive is treated as leadership. Of course, he knows California is in crisis, so does everyone else. Homelessness, business exodus, high taxes, rising crime, these aren't secrets. They make headlines every day, but noticing a disaster doesn't fix it. Standing next to a burning house and describing the flames doesn't make you...
The swing state, there's only 8 of them.
Right. Well, California's an interesting case study, isn't it? It's the size of 21 state populations combined.
Yeah.
2/3 of the state is very deeply red. We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues in the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in this state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language. You're not able to communicate. You're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
It's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department. Stuff.
Heroic. It doesn't put out the fire. Newsom hides behind polished speeches, jargon, and catchy phrases, hoping acknowledgement will substitute for real action. It doesn't. California doesn't need more speeches. It needs results. And those results remain elusive. Meanwhile, he can congratulate himself on making headlines while nothing changes on the ground. One statistic says it all. Over 80% of California's agricultural water goes to almond orchards. Billions of gallons flow to these crops, in a state plagued by drought, while residents are told to limit showers and let lawns die. Why? Because large agricultural operations wield political power. Families are forced to ration as if survival depends on it, while corporate farms drink freely. It's a cruel paradox. In a state constantly threatened by fire and drought,
Too much government there.
Look, that's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they're the ones making a case for that. They're already moving in that direction.
You wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, they've supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know what the top priorities are: homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes.
water isn't being used to protect lives. It's being mismanaged, and the consequences are spiraling out of control. He continues to act as if everything is fine. Spin, not leadership, seems to be his true skill. Speeches earn applause, but they don't lower living costs, repair streets, or make communities safer. And yet somehow the applause keeps